I'm like, if you're gonna send a nude, just send it. I can't be asked to send a nude trying to like fish out a compliment. Like, here's a picture of my arse. Do you think it's big, or do you think it's too small? Or, oh my god, do you think it looks awful because it's not as tanned as the rest of my body? Shut up. If you're gonna send a nude, just own it and just fucking send the nude. Hey guys, welcome back. This is Love What Luck, and I have officially got my sofa. If you're watching it on YouTube or if you've got me on Instagram, you'll know it's finally arrived. I said last week that it might be here this week, and I'm so chuffed this year. I feel like finally I've got somewhere comfy and nice I can record from. I was so determined to get this sofa up to record tonight, right? I have to tell you. So it came this morning when I was in work. So it's been in a box the whole time, and I came back and I was like, there's no way I'm recording on that little pony chair in there with the microphone bashing about. I'm so sorry for last week's episode with the buck, like clacking around of this microphone drove me oh my god, it's like I had a lisping. Drove me insane, so I can only apologise. But anyway, so I was like, there's just no way that I'm recording in there against that plain white wall, backed up against it, holding a microphone when I've got my sofa here. So this box is in the room, it's absolutely massive, right? And I was like, I'm gonna do this myself. I'm not gonna wait till Matt comes back. I'm gonna do it myself, like the strong, independent woman that I am. I was thinking to myself, like, what would I do if I was single and living by myself? Oh, Matt just came in.
Hi!
How nice is it?
Lush! What are you doing now?
What's it look like?
Podcast.
Yeah.
Are we sure that we've done this correct?
What was in the wrong way? Do you know, I was thinking that it was like really puckered and ruched here, and it looked weird.
I'm gonna go with this.
Oh my god. I built it the wrong way. Oh, I put a picture of this on my Instagram, being like, finally I have a sofa.
What are you stupid for?
Is that comfier?
Yes. I can do this.
If I was you,
I was like, sat down. Ooh! Ow, my back. Why am I sat up like this?
So I put it the wrong way then.
What the hell? Nah.
Oh my god, sorry, Matt came home and I was so excited to show him that I did the settee myself. And as soon as he sat down, he's like, you put the cushions the wrong way. I put the back cushions down to sit on and the sitting down cushions at the back. Anyway, wow. Well, that kind of messes up my whole story, actually, because I was going to say how I was like a really strong, independent woman, and I was like, I'm not waiting for Matt to come home. But now it all makes sense, because the box was so heavy that I couldn't lift it. So I couldn't like undo and lift the settee out like you would do if you had two people. So I literally had to roll the box around and tip the sofa out of the cardboard box, like as if I was unpacking like a cushion or confetti or something. I mean, I don't know why you'd open confetti, but so now it explains it was like all upside down and all the cushions were the wrong way. But I did this, after giving me some credit. I did this, and I'm recording this episode in the peak and the height of the heat wave. And if you've lived in a London flat in a heat wave, it's honestly unbearable. I'm never one to complain about the sun or the weather because I love it. And all week I've been up on the rooftop because I've got a nice rooftop up here now, no flex. And I was up on the rooftop and it's been lovely. Today, obviously, because I needed to record and do this sofa, I was like, I've got to be in the house. It was so hot, and I was just like, how am I gonna do this? So first things first, obviously the clothes had to come off, right? Took my dress off, I was in my bra. No one, if you're a girl, I was in the bra. Like, if you're a girl, you understand. I was like, the bra's got to come off. So I was stood here looking at this cardboard box, sweating, and for some reason I'm wearing the tiniest, this is too much information, but I'm wearing the tiniest thong today. I don't know why. It's like, no, everyone has one of those thongs. It's like seamless and they're just teeny tiny. They literally like floss? No, what's it called? Flossing string. what's it called? Why do I always forget words when I go to record? Like flossing string, whatever it's called. It's literally like that. And I was just stood there. I'm only on the 6th floor, so I'm convinced that people can see me out the window, but I was like, fuck it, I'm absolutely boiling. I was just stood in this tiny thong, nude, sweating, looking at this settee box, being like, what can I do this? Like, what am I about to do? Heated up 2 plates of leftover chips, like, as I was doing it. Leftover chips from a takeaway last night, which I'm sure nobody does. But let me tell you, I put them in the microwave. They turned out just right. My friend came over last night and I was literally sat on the carpet with her. I was like, I'm sorry, I've got nowhere for us to sit to eat this takeaway. But yeah, I was literally tipping the settee out, getting the cushions, screwed the legs on myself, all in my thong. And it was hard work, and I'm not going to lie, I cannot get rid of the rubbish. I don't know what I would do if I was here by myself. I'd have to see if a neighbour could help me or something. Lord knows I wouldn't be able to pay somebody to come in and help me because I'm pretty much on the breadline since I moved into this flat. All I've done is pay bills and bloody buy furniture. Anyway, this is probably the longest intro ever, so I'm just going to cut it off and let's go into our first story of the week. Okay, she said, hey, I've got an experience I would like to share about my ex. I met him in 2012 after going through an abusive relationship. I sought love and affection and so jumped in too quickly. I ignored all the red flags, such as 90% of his Facebook being girls around 20 to 21, while he was in his late 40s. Guys, I'm sorry, there's the airplane. I think the door is shut, but even if it's not, I can't possibly shut it anymore because I'm sweating doing this. It's so hot. Anyway, just ignore it. He always said to me that he wanted a family and to settle down. And I liked that, seeing as I had 2 children from a previous relationship. We found out unexpectedly that I was pregnant in late 2013, and he seemed really happy and I was excited for a future as a family. He had a female friend he met while working away before I met him, and I did grow to find it strange that his friend and him texted multiple times a day. Is that a seed planter there? In 2014, our daughter was born. She is truly the light of my life. A few months later, he got a job working in Wakefield a few hours away. He decided to take it and we would visit every other weekend and he would come home as well. One weekend after he had been home, he emailed me his receipts to pop onto his expenses for him as normal. So I got into the PC and completed his expense form when a notification alert kept beeping. It was his Facebook left logged in and the alerts were a rather explicit message exchange between him and another woman, telling her he remembered the delights that were under her dress. Why am I said that word? That's just made me think of Angel Delight, and that's just not it's just not the image I want in my mind. And other things. They were arranging to meet. He had only left the children and I an hour previously, and they were very deep in conversation. So I looked further and found that his friend he texted daily was also engaging in these sorts of conversations with him, sending pics of her boobs, asking if she needed a reduction. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to come back to that. Or how she looked. He always replied with some sleazy comment like, "Your pics put a big smile on my cock." I hate the word cock. And pushed the conversation even further with her. He also arranged to meet another woman in a hotel near where he was working and asked for her room number. I was devastated. This had been going on all through my pregnancy and beyond. I was destroyed. I called him and told him to come get his stuff. I had packed them into boxes, well done, and that I wanted him out that day. He came home and fell to his knees, but I had none of it. That's that visual. I must have spoken about this before in the Asha video, when he makes another girl pregnant and he goes on his knees in the video and he slides around her hips and he goes, she opened up the door and didn't want to be near me. I said, 1 second, baby. And he's like around her hips begging. I used to love that video and that scene so much. And he's topless and hot, but also she hates him. It's so good. Okay, so called him to come get his stuff. He came home and fell to his knees, but I had none of it. I kicked him out. I also messaged all the women telling him they can have this cheating, disgusting excuse from a man. To add insult to injury, he told everyone, including his mum, that he had just upset me and things would be fine when I calmed down. Absolute dick move there. So I shared all the screenshots with his mum, and she was heartbroken with his behaviour. Fast forward to 2020, and I found my soulmate, who just happened to be someone he used to work with and look up to. Wait, so she's now with somebody that her ex used to work with, and the ex used to look up to him. Wow. We are getting married in April and have a lovely home, and my daughter... we're getting married in April and have a lovely home, and my daughter even has his surname as double-barrelled. That's lovely. The ex barely makes an effort with my daughter, and he now has to live with the fact that his disgusting ego is the reason why his daughter now calls someone else dad. Hopefully this will help other women know that we don't deserve to be treated badly, and that we can always find happiness within ourselves and get over such toxic relationships. Okay, so I actually went through that story without any segues because I have had a bit of hate for going off track. So now let me backtrack to give all my comments. The thing that I have to go back to is the woman sending pictures of her boob asking if she needs a reduction. I want to know what straight man out there would ever see a picture of tits and say you probably need a reduction. If that's you, come forward, because you can probably, I don't know, earn a living on YouTube or something telling women that they don't need bigger boobs, because I just can't ever imagine that being a thing. I'm sure there's guys that say like they don't like fake boobs or whatever, but there's no way on earth that a guy's ever going to say you should take a reduction, and she knows that, obviously. I'm like, if you're going to send a nude, just send it. I can't be asked to send a nude trying to like fish out a compliment, like, here's a picture of my arse, do you think it's big, or do you think it's too small, or do you think, oh my god, do you think it looks awful because it's not as tanned as the rest of my body? Like, shut up. Like, if you're gonna send a nude, just own it and just fucking send the nude, full tit nipple, and just be like, here it is. I know you're gonna like it, because what person doesn't like a nude? Unless you're a girl and you get an unsolicited dick pic, we don't like those. But if you're a guy, I don't know, obviously I'm not speaking for all men, except I also kind of am, you're going to appreciate a nude. So don't come at me with the bullshit of, do you think I need a reduction? Like squeezing them together probably to make them look bigger. Bore off, I'm sorry. You know, I don't usually go and hate on the girl, but come on, own your nudes. That's my first thing I'm going to say. Second thing I'm going to say is really bad that he didn't take accountability. The fact he only told his mother that he'd upset her and that it'd be fine when she calmed down. I feel like that's a thing all women get told. Like, we always get told we're crazy and we need to calm down. And no, the other worst one is when you're sat in a club or at a bar or whatever, or even stood up in the club, no one's talking to you, you're just minding your own business and you're just vibing whether or dancing or looking around, and it's always a man. Always a guy will come up to you and say, oh, you're not going to smile? Or chin up, might never happen. Mate, get out of my space firstly and just you vibing. I don't need you to come up and tell me how to act. And I feel like that's on the same level as the calm down. Like, they see a girl upset and they think, oh God, time of the month, it must be the hormones, probably going through the menopause. No, sometimes you're just a dickhead and I can be upset. It doesn't have to be my hormones, not because we're a woman. All our feelings are valid. Thank you very much. I hate that. Nobody can tell me to calm down. If somebody said to me to calm down, it would just rile me up so much more. Can I just say, I find this really hard. Oh, I literally had a comment right before I started the episode being like, love your episodes, but wish you wouldn't interrupt the stories. I lose track of them because you ramble on a million times. I was like, well, firstly, do you love them then? Because I've never used those words towards somebody I love. Like, do you know, I absolutely love my mother, but oh my god, she rambles on a million times in a story. Like, though, I love something and I wish you'd be quiet and stop rambling, to me don't really go together. So firstly I'm like, you don't love my videos, but I will always appreciate the criticism. So yeah, I thought today I would read through all the story, but I find it really hard because I have thoughts that come to my mind as I'm talking and I've got to try and go back and find them. So bear with me, please let me know what you'd rather. Maybe I should do a poll. And then if people like my segues more than they don't, then it can stay. I also have to pull up the response to the sex here. Your pics put a big smile on my cock. I never ever want to think of a dick or a cock having a personality. I'm sorry. That for me takes away all like the hotness and the sexiness of it. You made my cock smile. I don't want your cock to smile. I just want it to be erect and I just want it to do its job. I don't need it to have a personality. I don't need it to have a nickname. I don't need it to be smiling at me. I would rather not, to be honest. I'd rather not get involved with the personality of it. I also hate the word cock. I would never say it. I just find it, I don't know, I just don't like it. Cock. I find it a little bit rude. I just prefer dick. But obviously dick isn't as rude because you can always also call people dickhead. So maybe that's why I like it, because it's used more. I just don't think I'd ever use the word cock. If I sent a boob picture to somebody and I said your pics put a smile on my cock, I'd be like, oh my god, no. Instantly mood killed. You'll never get a nude from me again. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. Horrendous as always. And I don't think he actually did end up cheating, did he? Like physically, which... Oh no, I think he did cheat with a friend, didn't he? He cheated with her. I don't know if he ever did cheat with a girl in the hotel room or if she said no to him, which is embarrassing on his part. If he asked to go to somebody's hotel room and she didn't turn up, that's embarrassing on his part to find. It's like a pity. But he did it when she was pregnant, which is like my absolute... I don't even know what to call it. I just think it's the worst thing you can do. I've definitely said it before. Because when somebody you love is pregnant, I think that I always picture that as a together thing. If you're lucky enough to be with your partner, obviously there's different situations where you're pregnant and you're not with a father, that's fine. But if you're in a relationship with a father and you're pregnant, like I never wanted to feel like I'm pregnant and this is my thing and you were going off and doing your thing. I want it to be like we're both going through it. And I think when you're pregnant, I imagine at some points you feel so shit about yourself because, you know, you're tired and you can't sleep and carrying this like 8-pound baby around with you, which I just can't even imagine it. And your hands swell up and your feet and like all the rest of the shit that comes down the baby. And then you were struggling and then your partner's doing that. It makes me actually sick. It's the worst thing you can do. So she's obviously so much better off without him. And then she met her soulmate years later. And that's what I liked about that. Because I feel like lots of stories I get, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they're all like my partner did this to me, blah, 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 we broke up. But 6 months later I found somebody, which is so nice. But that might be a bit unrealistic. And I do sometimes think about somebody listening to this, because I know loads of you guys listen. If you're going through a breakup, you've come across a story or something because you were going through something similar and it resonates with you. And I always think that imagine you're 6 months down the line or 4 months down the line and you're feeling shit. And even though these stories are hopeful, when they say a week later, the love of my life walked in, it doesn't always work out like that. And yeah, I am conscious of that sometimes. So this just shows you can be in a relationship with somebody for 4 years, you can have a baby and all this can happen. And yeah, it's taken I don't know when she broke up, but say like 6 years. But now she's met her soulmate. And also when you meet your soulmate, that is that for the rest of your life, you know. I'm not even going to say touch wood, because if it's your soulmate, that is what will happen for the rest of your life. So you've got your whole life to do that. Like there's no rush to get with somebody. And I think that's my favourite part of the story. And the fact that it's with somebody that I used to work with. Like, oh my god, that is absolutely gutted. Imagine. Because she said that he looks up to her. That's like your boss becoming a stepmother or stepfather to your child and your family. I don't know if I could deal with that. That would be a real big, hard pill for me to swallow. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the story, about the style. As always, leave me a comment, leave me a review. Please remember to like, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever, please just remember to give me a follow. It's a huge help, and we're growing very slowly but surely. So yeah, I really just want to keep it going. Please remember to share it with your friends, and yeah, just give me a little support. Thank you for everyone that does already show me your support every week. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I am feeling more settled. Last night was the first time I watched TV in the living room, and do you know what I've realised? I'm a really simple gal when it comes to TV. I don't watch much at all, anything new. And if I'm sat there, I just love watching old episodes of Sex and the City. It's definitely a comfort for me. And I literally never get sick of it. I've been watching them since I was 19. I know every episode name, like what happens in it. I know the lines from it. And I just love it. And last night, I was like, we started to watch with my friend, but then she went home and I was like, right, I want to just put my favourite episode on, or one of my favourite episodes. And I put the episode on where Carrie has the affair with Big and behind Aiden's back, and then it's all finished, Natasha knows, and it's all done, and then Carrie feels like she has to tell Aiden, so she tells him in Charlotte's wedding at the end. Oh, it makes me so upset every single time. When he's just like, I just know in myself, I can't get over this. I really loved you, but I can't do it. And she's crying. It's so sad. But, right, I had a comment this week. Remember the episode that we had from the girl that was seeing a married man? I've had a few comments on there saying that she shouldn't tell the wife, because they said that you only tell the wife or the person to make yourself feel better, not them. And Aiden literally says in that episode, I wish I didn't know about this. Now, I would rather know 100%, but not everyone does. But because it's over and stuff, then I can understand why he says that. But she said she wants to be honest, but really she's not helping him. She is actually just helping herself, because obviously when you carry that guilt around and the secrecy, you just want to get it out, and you know it's technically the right thing to do. But for me, I would rather, if I was him, I think, I don't know, I'd rather find out if I was going to stay with a person. I don't know, but then I don't know, I would always rather know. But when I've cheated before, I've then broke up with the guy because I didn't want to tell him, because I knew that would be really hurtful. So I just broke up instead. And to me, I think that's better. But also a guy commented on the video on YouTube saying that he read somewhere that there was a guy in his 90s, right? And he divorced his wife because he found out that she cheated 50 years ago. So they were married this whole time and he never knew. And then he found out, I mean, she must have told him. I can't imagine him finding out any other way. She must have told him, and he divorced her at 90. I couldn't believe it. And the guy that commented on my video said something like, all those years wasted. I was like, if she never told him and he never knew, and it was just that one off and they were both happy that whole time, I don't think that is time wasted. So that's a situation where she didn't tell him, but she just didn't do it again. There's so many caveats there, and people have so many different opinions. But what I've got to tell you, actually, last week we did the episode on the girl that wrote in, and she'd been messaging a guy because she wasn't having attention off her boyfriend, and then she got caught and she was glad, but she was feeling like she wanted to leave. She was feeling like she was missing out on life, and her boyfriend was going out and she felt like she couldn't do anything and all this stuff. I've got an update, and I honestly was expecting her to say that she broke up with him. I was expecting her to be like, yeah, I've done it, because when she messaged me, it sounded like she wanted to break up with him, and it sounded honestly like she just wanted to go out, go on the pull and live her best single life. Anyway, the update is she spoke to him. They both had an open and honest conversation. He was feeling really similar as well, just basically that they were in a rut. And now they're better than ever. So I never thought the spark was possible to come back, but it is. I'm so glad I spoke to him. We've been making date nights for each other, no phones after 8 p.m, and they really reconnected. And I was so happy. I was like, actually that proves and shows that above everything you just need to talk about stuff. So actually, now I've listened to them, Carrie probably was right, but probably the right thing for Aidan to have done was go back to her instead and say, why did this happen? And then them talk about it rather than just walk away. But he comes back. But anyway, yeah, it all tied in this week. I was actually super happy when she messaged me back, because I think that's so rare for her to message somebody for ages and have kind of, not an affair, but kind of like an emotional flirty affair, and then get over that and then have another issue. And rather than both of them being like, fuck this, I'm going, they both worked through it and now said they're better than ever. So I really like that. I think there's lots of ups and downs in relationships, and yeah, I think sometimes it is easier to just walk out and not talk through anything. Definitely easier than actually talking through and like telling your partner basically, I want to go out partying and I want to leave you, but I'm unsure. Like, it'd be much easier for him to be like, if you're unsure, I'll make your mind up for you. Like, that's an ego reaction, isn't it? Do you get me? That's like your ego's hurt and you think, right, okay, well, if you're not sure, then balls to you and F you, I'm going out. Whereas if you're actually stronger than that and you can handle your ego, the normal reaction is to be, not the normal reaction, but the good reaction is to be like, okay, well, I know you feel like that, but actually I feel similar, let's talk through it. What a guy. I think that guy's a keeper, and also he's only 24, so well done to him. Okay, I've got another story for us, and she says, Sadie, I absolutely love your podcast. I recommend it to all the girls. Thank you. Honestly, such an honest view. My love story is quite the opposite to most. I was horrifically independent. I suffered with an actual 3-date curse until I was 25. And then I met a guy in work, cringe, she's put. And can I just say, and I'm going on segues on this one, I don't care. Meeting a guy in work is not cringe. My friend is literally just going through it, and she's like, yeah, I met somebody in work, and I'm like, I've had a work romance, and there's nothing better than sprucing up the office life, because if you're like me, who, you know, doesn't thoroughly enjoy their work, office romance just makes the days go so much faster. I don't find it cringe at all. Anyway, she says, as soon as I met him, I knew I needed to find a new job, which is well done, better than most, as I couldn't do the serious relationship in the same company, and he was more senior than me, and in brackets she's put, at the time. Snaps for you, girl. I love that. I left to work for a different company, which I think is amazing, by the way. I only left my job after we broke up. And I'm so glad I did, because I saw him once in the office after the breakup and he completely blanked me. And I was like, if I had to come here every day, because it was still like going back after COVID, so we weren't in properly. I was like, if I had to come here every day, it was in that moment I'd realised the seriousness of a work relationship. Remember, I did a full episode on it. It'll be online. I think it's only on Spotify, I don't think it's on YouTube. But I did a full episode on it saying, like, only go with somebody in work if it's gonna either be super casual, like literally just hook up, or super serious, because a breakup in work is not good. So she did really good for seeing this and leaving already. Like, well done, hun. She left for a different company, and our first date was the day I handed in my notice. I asked him out eventually, also love. However, then had to get used to someone wanting to see me. I agreed to see him once a week for a few months before getting into a relationship. That's hard, because I think when you meet somebody you really like, once a week, like, I think for me anyway, when I meet somebody I really like, you kind of end up staying over for the full weekend. That's what usually happens. So keeping it to once a week, that's really good going. Then when we did, I really struggled with detaching from the strong, independent woman stereotypes to let him in. I was refusing his help to clean an overgrown rented garden and the lot. Now, I'm all for feminism and I think what she's doing is really good, but the feminism will leave my body when it comes to manual labour, and I'm not ashamed of that. Don't get me wrong, if I didn't want to record so desperately on this settee today, I might have been tempted to turn the towel in as the sweat was dripping down my back into my seamless floss cotton thong. So I get the, the independence. If you want something, you will do it, and absolutely should. But if somebody offered to mow my lawn, and that's not a pun, if somebody offered to actually mow my lawn, best believe I'd be taking it, feminism or not. So well done you. And I think she's just standing against all the stereotypes that women have, and I love it, because literally I've never had a story like this where she's like, I don't want him to do anything for me, and I don't want to see him a lot, and all the rest of it. So I think it's very good, and it's unusual, and we do need more stories like this so it becomes more normalised, because I think sometimes when women go against kind of what's the norm for them, we just get labelled different things. Now earlier I said, like, we get told to calm down and people assume we're on a period, when actually we're just passionate or angry or upset, and you'd never say that to a guy. It's the same thing with this, like, if a girl texts too much and says they like you, we're crazy. But if a guy does it, they're affectionate and they're lovely, and oh my god, it's so good. And with this, they probably think, oh, well, she'll never be with anybody, she'll never let anybody in. When again, you wouldn't say that about a guy. You'd say, well, he's just being like that, and that's just his way. He's like all the time, just likes to do things himself. He just doesn't need anyone, does he? He's a bachelor. That's what he'd get called. He'd get called a bachelor. And we get called like, oh, we're going to end up lonely with a load of cats, because Lord knows that a woman can't be happy if she's single and older. Makes me sick to my stomach. Anyway, I'm very like much feminism. I'm like, oh, but you will build the furniture for me. Oh my god, I have to tell you. When I moved into the flat, right, I ordered 3 pieces of furniture. And I moved into a flat with my friend a few years back now. It was just us two at first, and we built everything. I'm talking, we put beds together. We didn't even have the proper tools. We had one hand screwdriver. All our hands were like fucked, basically. Sorry, I'm swearing a bit in this episode, whatever. We didn't have the right tools. It was only 2 of us. We were humping stuff over, and it felt so good to actually just do it all ourselves and not have to worry about getting somebody in. And it was a real big accomplishment, even though it's hard work, right? So anyway, I had these 3 pieces of furniture coming here, and I was like, I can do it myself, easy. Matt went to golf, and he was like, I'm going to go to golf, like, what are you going to do today? I was like, I'm going to build all this furniture, all well and good. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go for dinner tonight. I was like, great, sounds perfect. I was really excited, right? 4 hours later, I was building the furniture. It was all going well. I'm really thorough with the instructions and shit. To be fair, there were no instructions for the sofa, so that was a guess. Anyway, they didn't tell me I had to put this big silver, like, screw thing in, right? And it didn't say on the instructions that you had to tighten it. I'm not talking a normal screw. I know that needs tightening. This was like a big, I don't know what it was. It was like a metal piece, right? And I didn't know you had to screw it. So anyway, I'm building the furniture. I put up this, like, drawer thing. I let it go, and it all fell apart. The wood ripped because it was hanging on with 2 screws, and it went over like that. A big chunk of the wood came out. I was like, oh my god. And just in that very moment, Matt rang me, and when I tell you, I lost my shit. He was like, hi, you okay? I was like, well, I'm not actually Matt. And you know when you're angry when you call when you call people by their first name and not babe or anything. I was like, I'm not actually, because you're at golf and I'm trying to do this furniture. And he's like, whoa. You knew I was coming to golf. I'll build the furniture with you tomorrow. You just got your OCD and you got to build it now. I was like, you haven't done fuck all for this house move. It was all coming out. I'm here building this furniture. He's like, I will build it for you tomorrow. I was like, whatever. hung up on him. I can't even remember, that might even not be what the conversation was like, to be fair. So when you're so angry, I take myself for a walk. I literally was stood, all the wood was all around me. I was probably naked. I was like, this is not for me. And I forced myself to go for a walk. I was gone for like an hour and a half, pacing the streets by the river. I was like, I just need to calm myself. I went to sit down by the water, fuming. I've gone so off track, I can't even remember what I was saying, guys. Oh yeah, I think, what was I saying? I genuinely can't remember. I've gone that far off track, but I think I was just saying that I'm all for doing stuff myself, but sometimes if a guy this is what I was saying, if a guy offers to help with my furniture, I'm gonna let it slide. The same as if it's coming to the end of the month, I'm a little bit short, and you know, the date says I'll pay for it, I'm happy to, as long as I've offered and they are insistent. I'm just gonna let them. I'm just, you know, I do kind of switch between feminism and I let it slide if I'm struggling and I need your help. Okay, let me do a little recap because I'm tired today, guys. I'm just going to be honest, I'm tired and I'm going off track. So let me do a little recap. This girl, fiercely independent, feminism till I die, meets a guy in work, leaves her job because she just knows that she can't have a serious relationship, found it really hard to get used to seeing somebody regular, wouldn't let her help him with a house or nothing. Okay. Anyway, fast forward 7 years later, a hell of a lot of bad luck in house buying. We finally bought our own home. It's a full renovation job. Learning to style a house together teaches you a lot, but I'm so lucky to find someone who wants a child-free life just like me. Our biggest fear is one of us changing our mind about that and the other one not agreeing. But I can't live in that fear, and we are so happy after never being successful in love before. We are now navigating through me being the biggest earner, which I love, which is another stereotype we are tackling, but we're so honest and happy. I just wanted to share a story you haven't had before. And I'm so glad you did, because there's so many things that's just different here. Firstly, I know, not from personal experience, but 3 of my friends have bought houses, and all of them, well, apart from one actually, one of them said she hasn't really argued with her boyfriend, which is really good, but the other 2 were like, it's so stressful, wanted to leave, all we've done is argue. Like, me and Matt having that massive argument over the furniture. It was the first time we'd argued properly in ages. It's very stressful, especially if you're doing renovations and building and stuff. So well done, but she's finally let him in. He's stuck around and she earns more money than him, which is amazing, because that's another thing that I think we're way behind on that. Like, equal pay is coming and it's you, and being a woman in business, like, they can harp on about it, but ultimately it's still few and far between. And I don't know if men, I mean, some men definitely will care. I don't know if men actually all care about it. I feel like I've never heard anybody be like, oh, but she earns more money than me and care. But I think it's always just expected that the guy's going to earn more money, which is fair enough because they get paid more for doing the same job, so let's not even get into that. But it is kind of expected that a guy earns more money and that a guy would feel shit if his partner earns more money, when actually clearly it's not the case. So well done for that. And the other huge thing obviously is that neither of them want kids, which I'm going to be honest, I'm finding like people are becoming more and more honest and open about this. I've got kind of like a friend of a friend on Instagram, and she's decided not to have kids and she's donated her eggs and she's being really vocal about it, how people can just choose not to. And do you know what? I don't blame them. I feel like lately, right, everyone Matt and I have gone to meet that have got kids have low-key told us not to do it. Or they've like, I literally went to a lunch. Have I told the story? Sorry if I have. I went to a lunch, and I think I have. And one of the girls there basically said, nobody told me this, so I just feel it's my duty as the only one that's got kids here to just warn you that it's really hard work and to have a think about it. And we met his Matt's friends the other night, and they've got kids, and they were like, it is so much hard work. And I feel like people now being more open about it, same like with birth stories and stuff. Not that I needed any putting off that, because the thought of being pregnant and giving birth terrifies me. It does not make me feel maternal. It doesn't make me feel, oh, I can't wait to feel a baby inside me. It actually makes me low-key sick. I can't imagine it. Every single dream I've had about being pregnant have been nightmares, and I've been horrifically crying. I've dreamt that when I'm carrying the baby, it's really heavy and I can't cope with it. I've also, this is random and nothing to do with it, but I've also dreamt before that I've had a penis, right, growing in between my legs, like not like where an actual dick is, like down in between my legs, and that was actually horrific as well. That just came to me and I felt like I needed to share it. But yeah, like, so I feel like maybe 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't say how pregnancy made me feel, because it's always like, as a woman, you're meant to be maternal and you're meant to want kids, and you know, that's your purpose and that's what you want. But I think it's really nice now that we can have open and honest conversations and say, do you know what, I might not want that. And people that have got kids now are feeling more open to say, giving birth was the most horrendous thing of my life, and not feel shame as if they don't love their kids, because obviously you can love your kids and all the rest of it, but you can admit that they're hard work and sometimes you low-key hate them. Like, that's okay. That's just life. That's the same for everything else in life. You can argue with your parents, your partner, your sisters, your friend, and nobody questions that you don't love them. Do you know what I mean? But for some reason, kids are like the high and mighty. Like, if you bitch about them, like, it means you don't love them. No, sometimes kids are annoying as. I haven't got my own, but I see some and I'm like, oh. We were in the queue in... we were queuing to get food in the airport coming from New York, and there were these two boys, and as I went, I'd been to check like the table flight thing, whatever. Anyway, I go to Matt, and he said to me, he's like, these two kids are so annoying. I was like, why, what are they doing? He's like, just look at them. And the mother and father were trying to buy food, and the kids were like, look, and nagging and crying and fighting. I would just want to be like, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to buy you food. Sit down and behave. When you're an adult, you really realise like how much of a bitch you were as a kid. I feel guilty. I literally had to have a behaviour nurse, and she asked me apparently before she left, are you going to behave now for your mammy? And I went like that in your face. No. And now I look back like, oh my god, I'm sorry for putting my parents through such hell. But I think it's really good that people are being honest, and how good if you find somebody that also doesn't want to have kids, because it is a deal breaker. If you want kids and the other person doesn't, there's actually no way around it, 'cause it's such an important thing, and people are against the clock and they don't want kids old and all the rest of it. So I understand that that's a fear, but I think you're in your 30s. I think by now, if you don't want kids, I don't know, but I would like to think that you'd be pretty set. It'd be a little bit shocking if next year you were like, actually, I want one, but it happens. I think as long as you're happy now, then that's good. But I did love that she let all her walls down and let somebody in, and that he doesn't care for all the stereotypes, and he kept at it. And as I said, they were both unsuccessful in love until now, and now they've been together 7 years. So a very little happy story there for us. I was on my rooftop, as I said, flex. I've got a rooftop, I've got a pool, I've got a gym in this building. It's so nice. It's actually not a flex, 'cause I actually can't afford to live here. I'm low-key in poverty. Literally the other day, I went into the room and Matt was putting his moisturiser on, right? And he'd cut the bottle in half and he was scooping the moisturiser out. And I was like, why are you on the bread line for? And he's like, this flat. I was like, okay. London rent, gotta love it. Anyway, we do actually love the building, to be fair. So I am low-key flexing, but obviously it comes at a cost. And we don't eat for days on end just so we can use that pool. Joking. Right, anyway, so I'm on the rooftop, I'm chilling, it's just me up there, and this couple come out, right, and they're young, and I can tell by the conversation that they knew daters. For example, she was telling him about the family dog. I was like, not boyfriend, girlfriend. She also said, oh, is there an ick? And I was like, no boyfriend, girlfriend. They were joking, they were flirting. I was like, they've been dating and this is his first time over because he didn't really know his way round the rooftop. I was like, this is his first sleepover and they're chilling out the next day. And I was just a witness, you know. And I enjoyed it and I liked them until I heard her say, oh, yeah, but it's different for guys. Like, guys can mess around until they're 30 and then settle down. Girls can't do that. I was like, oh, this bitch is trying to ruin my day. She's trying to ruin my day. She's succeeding. I'm 32. I'm in the same living situations as for starters. How were you not working on a Monday? My office was closed. How were neither of you working on a Monday means you're probably students, living in these quarters. Couldn't be more different. And you're so young that you think by the time... I mean, the biggest error is we all think that by the time... As women, I mean. By the time we're 30, we get married and stuff. The biggest error she's made is assuming that he is going to be ready at 30 in London. And that she's going to be ready even earlier than 30. And she might be thinking, by the time I'm 25, I need to be, you know, settling down. Let me just tell you. 9 times out of 10, I don't think that's the case. I especially don't think it's the case if you're living in London. Everybody does everything later year. Everything. All the guys I've dated, not all of them, but most of them have been older than me by a long shot. Only, like, I saw one of them get engaged the other day. He is in his 40s. There's another one in his 40s. He's not married. I don't even think he owns a house yet. He's just with his girlfriend. Like, when is it going to go? Because she's the next generation. She's probably a Gen Z. And she's still thinking, I would have thought that Gen Z, I would have thought and hoped that Gen Z were like leaving that behind. They've got to settle down when you're 30. No, apparently it's still going strong. I was like, oh, you sweet child. You just don't know. You don't know life yet. And you could be settled by the time you're 30 and then you could be divorced by the time you're 35, you know? That's all I'm saying, not to be a pessimist. I sound like one of those bitter, angry old women who should be drinking a martini with an olive in. And I've had maybe 4 and I'm at the bar by myself talking to John, the barman. I'm like, John, they're just these kids these days. They haven't lived their life, have they? And I've lived mine, that's for sure. Who else can say they can come out on a Tuesday evening and by themselves and have a drink? And if I was this character, I'd probably be smoking as well, you know? And that's kind of the character I'm embodying, and bitter maybe over a past relationship. That's what I feel like tonight. But it's true, like, we've just got so much life to live. And as I said, by the time you meet somebody, if it's the right person, hopefully, like, the plan is when you get married, you're with them for the rest of your life. So why would you want to rush that at 25? Imagine I found my soulmate at 25 and stuck with them. That would have been 7 years of that by now. What else would there be left in my life to experience? You know? Literally, I met my old boss today and he said to me, well, you need to start thinking now, you need to tell him that he needs to put a ring on it. Like, what makes you think that I'm the one that wants to get engaged and married and he doesn't, firstly? Just because I'm a woman, just because I've got breasts and a vagina, apparently I'm the one that's meant to want to get married. And the only reason I'm not engaged is because my boyfriend, hasn't done it, which technically on paper is true. But it's not like I'm pining and I'm like, Matt, you've got to do it. And then the guy I work with was like, oh, were you expecting me in Canada? And no, I wasn't, actually. I wasn't expecting him to propose. Nor would I have wanted him to propose. But apart from anything else, I was in sportswear the whole time. Imagine my engagement pictures in a sports brand shorts I'd be filming. Remember my Dyson Airwrap wasn't working? I either looked bold, and one time I put French plaits and I didn't have the baubles from. If you've watched the vlog, you can see them just hanging down and done. But what I want to know is anybody saying that to them? No. Did I even say anything back? No. And now I wish I did. Now I wish I'd said to the guy I work with, no, was your girlfriend expecting you to propose, or were you expecting her to propose on your recent holiday? Get out my face. No, that's not the saying. What's that meme? Get off my back. Oh, God. Well, I honestly do feel like I've rambled a million times tonight, so I'm going to wrap it up. Next week I'll be settled, I'm sure. Yeah, let me know as always your thoughts and your experiences on this stuff, because as women we go through this shit every day and I just know men don't. So yeah, come and let me know your thoughts. Please remember to follow, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll speak to you next week. Also, please, if you've got any stories, please send them in to me. All my details are in the caption, and yeah, we really want to hear your stories and different points of view. So yeah, thanks guys, I'll speak to you next week.